and welcome to this tutorial to accompany week 5 of my picnic on the beach blanket. I'm Eleonora, the designer behind Coastal Crochet, and all the details about this blanket can be found over on my website www.coastalcrochet.com. So this tutorial is to show you how to join our mini Tunisian entrelac gingham squares to the rest of the blanket, and it's going to be joined along this join here using the white yarn, yarn A, and this join here using yarn D, which for me is the light blue. So I will show you how to do this. This tutorial isn't to replace the written pattern, so do have a copy of the pattern to hand because we're going to be varying the number of stitches we do in some of these rows, and that's clearly written in the pattern. So let's get started. So we're going to start on the top left of the blanket, and as you can see, the square that we left between weeks 3, our cupcake rows, and then our kite rows here in week 4, that space, this is where we're going to be joining our gingham squares to. So make sure that the gingham square is upright, and by that I mean that the vertical bars on the Tunisian entrelac squares are not sideways like so, but that they're vertical to match the Tunisian entrelac square in the centre of the blanket. And what we do is we fold this gingham square over like so, so that the right sides are together, and then turn round because we're going to be crocheting this with the wrong side of the blanket facing us, and the right sides are together. As you can see, I haven't yet woven in all my ends. I hope you've done a better job at doing that. So you can see it a little bit better here. I've got the wrong side of the main blanket facing me. There's the wrong side of the gingham square, and the right sides are together. And what we're doing is we are inserting our hook into the first stitch from row 18 from week 3. So that was this final row of white here. Here's the first stitch. It was actually the last stitch that we made on that row, but it's quite clear to see that here. It's this first one here. Insert your hook into there, and then also insert your hook into the base of the gingham square, into the bottom corner. Actually for us now looking, it's the top right corner, but that will obviously be a bottom corner once it's joined. Make sure you're picking up 2 strands of yarn in the gingham square, and then we join with yarn A, the same colour as the colour you've used in these white rows here, and pull the yarn through like so. And now we make 1 chain. That doesn't count as a stitch, and we work 1 double crochet, US single crochet into the same place, going through both layers. So going through the stitch there from the row in week 3 plus the layer of the gingham square. So going through both layers, and then make 1 double crochet, US single crochet like so. And now it's 1 double crochet, US single crochet through the next stitch and the base of the gingham square. So here's the next stitch, and then the next stitch along, or it's not really a stitch as such, it's difficult because we're working into the very base of that gingham square, but just insert your hook like so, making sure 2 strands of yarn are being picked up, and work your double crochet, US single crochet like so. And now we continue by working 1 double crochet, US single crochet through both layers of each of the next 18 stitches. So there will still be 18 stitches between the 2 we've just made here and then where we joined our week 4. So in each of these we're going to work 1 double crochet, US single crochet, but going through to the base of the gingham square, picking up 2 strands of yarn like so, and also making sure that going across each gingham square we only do 4 stitches going across. So there I've done 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've got 4 going across that gingham square, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the next one, the 5th stitch, I will be going into the pink square from the gingham. make sure we've only got 4 stitches going across each of the gingham squares. So that's 1. Make sure you're picking up 2 strands of yarn. That's 3. And that's 4. And so now we are going to be going into the red square. Each square has 4 stitches only going across it. And continue like so until you've done all the stitches here going across. So I'm just on the final square. I've got 4 more stitches to do. 1, going through both layers, 2, 3, and here's the last one. You can see this is the stitch where we've joined for week 4, and this is the final stitch here where we are crocheting through and then through to the other corner of the gingham square, like so. And then at this point we simply fasten off. So there, we fastened off. And so now if we open this up, I will show you what that's looking like at the front. And there we go. You can see that the join going across there is really, really neat. By simply joining with the double crochet, US single crochet stitches on the wrong side with the right side of these two together, we now have this really, really neat join. And so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the same here on this next join. But obviously this time we are folding the work like so with the right sides together, and we're going to be working with the wrong side of week 4 facing us. And so here we go. We now have the wrong side of week 4 facing us, and the right sides are together, ready to do this next join. This is the vertical join of our gingham squares to the main blanket. And so we're going to insert our hook into the side of row 1 from week 4. That was this row here, the first row of shells that we did. So insert your hook into the side of that row, like so. And then also now through to the gingham square. So it's much easier now to see the stitches along here because we're going along the side of the gingham square. And remember that each square has 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, so you've got the 4 strands, much easier to see now. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Much easier, and obviously to put the hook through both 2 strands. So there's the first one. Insert your hook under the 2 strands and then join with yarn D, like so. And now if you look at the pattern, it tells us to make 1 chain, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then we're making 1 double crochet, US single crochet in the same place, going through both layers, like so. And now if you look at the pattern, it tells us to do 2 double crochet into the next row edge, but evenly spacing the stitches across the gingham square. And what that means is the next row that we made in week 4 is this pink shell here. So we're going to do 2 double crochet, US single crochet stitches to the side of this row, but we're not going to be doing it the corresponding stitch into the same place on the gingham. What I mean by that is the first stitch that we crochet through here will then go through these 2 strands, and then the second stitch, still going through the pink row, will go to the next stitch along, and it just means that they're evenly spaced. So 2 double crochet, US single crochet into the next row, but evenly spacing them out on the gingham square. So that's 1, same row here, but the next stitch along on the gingham square here, like so. And that's 2. And then looking at the pattern, it's again 2 double crochet, US single crochet in the next row edge. So that's this blue one here. So insert your hook into that row edge, and then the final stitch there on the gingham one for the first stitch. Work your double crochet through both layers, US single crochet as normal. We've got our second stitch to do in the same row end, but now our second stitch will go through to the first side of the pink square. Like so. And now it gets a little bit easier because we're doing one double crochet, US single crochet into each of the next 11 row edges. So each row edge we're simply doing one double crochet, US single crochet, and then obviously working up the side of the gingham square. So here's the next row edge. Insert your hook into there, and then insert your hook into the next stitch along of the row edge of the gingham square, going through both layers. That's one. The next row edge is here. We had 4 of these sand coloured row edges. Here's the first one. So this is 2. This is 3. Here's 4, but now we're going onto the red gingham square. And here's one more of the sand ones. That's 5. Now remember we had 2 double crochet, US single crochet rows to start the blue off in week 4. So here's the first one. So that will be 6. This one here will be 7. And if you can have a look behind, we're evenly spacing the stitches along the gingham squares. So the next row end was this one. This is 8, and we're now onto the pink square. 8. Here was 1, the side of the yellow row. 9. Here's the next one. 10. And then the next row edge was the side of these first blue ones. And so here, and it's the last one of the pink square, like so, is 11. Obviously you can crochet around these ends as you go to really neaten them. I'm just showing you where to place the stitches. If I was doing this not as a video tutorial, I would probably crochet around these ends to keep them really neat, but I'm just doing this for the purposes of the tutorial. I'm not focusing on the ends right now. And so looking at the pattern, it's now 2 double crochet, US single crochet in each of the final 2 row edges, and that's these 2 here. So here's this row edge, and we're onto the red square now. So there's 2 stitches into the side of this white row, 1, but obviously we're spacing them on the gingham square, so there's the next one along. That's 2, and then 2 into the side of this final row. Again, spacing them evenly on the gingham square. So that's 1. And then here, the final one is 2. And at this point, we fasten off. So here we go. I have fastened off, and now we will turn and I'll show you what it's looking like from the front. And so here you can see now what it's looking like at the front, and we have joined the vertical join there by doing these US single crochet stitches through both layers with the right sides together, and this is what that join is now looking like. And it's a really neat and simple way to place in these gingham squares into the rest of our blanket. And also by lining up the stitches, so there's 20 stitches along here with obviously 4 going along each of the gingham squares here, so having 20 stitches evenly spaced means it's a really neat join. And equally up here we have the 20 stitches, 4 going across each of the gingham squares. So there we go. This is the Tunisian entrelac gingham square joined to our main blanket. To do the top right square on each side, we use exactly the same principle, but obviously when you have the gingham square folding over the rows from week 3, and then when you turn the work and have the wrong side facing, you're going to be joining your hook and the yarn into the first stitch here which sits next to the ones from week 4. So you'd insert your hook here and then through to the base of the gingham square, and you'd join the stitches in exactly the same way going to the end, with 4 double crochet US single crochet evenly across each of the gingham squares. And as you can see, we've got enough stitches there for it to correspond beautifully. And equally, when we are joining the vertical join and we've got the wrong side of week 4 facing us, we will be starting to the side of this row and going through to the corresponding gingham square. And then obviously you do need the written pattern just to check how much you'll be doing. You'll be starting with 2 to the side of this row, then there'll be 2 into the side of this row, then there'll be 11 row edges, and then there'll be 2 double crochet US single crochet in each of these 2 row edges, and then 1 at the bottom one. So it's exactly what we did previously, but we're just starting from the other end. And then you repeat that at the other end of the blanket with the top left and then the top right square, and we'll have all 4 of our gingham squares in the right place, ready for us then to move on to crocheting all the way around. So I hope you found the tutorial helpful. Thanks for watching.